Alrighty, people, the City League Sports Show here. Come on, let's get it. We're going to have fun today. Joining me in the City League Legacy Lounge is Dionte Johnson, former Eastmoor Academy Warrior. I'm your host, Dr. Vince Clarno. We're going to talk everything from football to footwear, and we're going to have a little bit of fun in between. So say hello to everybody, man. Say what's up and say your name, and let's get this show going here.
How's everybody doing? My name is Dionte Johnson, as mentioned. Excited to be here, proud to be here. I've been watching the show for a little bit, so yeah, time to get it.
Hey, look, man, I think one of the things we do in Central Ohio is we kind of like, even just in our own little way, we root for each other.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So even never really having a chance to sit down and chop it up with you, I'm a fan of yours. I'm rooting for your journey. I'm rooting for, the things that you do. I've popped into the store before, which we're going to get to and talk about. Right. But I think it's cool, and and trying to just understand it, like when you're on the outside. And I've always just said, hey man, look, this is really cool for a young guy, but we're not going to begin there. Like that's a teaser for everybody, right? we're going to begin with Eastmoor, right? Like because that's what the show is about. So City League Sports. Let's just throw an easy one out there, man. We're like, give me a memory. Eastmoor Academy football. Who was your coach? What's something that pops out and stands out for you, man, when you was a guy running around?
So the crazy thing is, I had three coaches while I was at Eastmoor.
Wow.
We transitioned from Coach Reginald Oliver, who is a story within itself. Rest in peace, but long live his legacy. He's the quarterback from Marshall from when we watched the movie and we relived the tragedy that happened with the plane crash. Yeah, that kid that rode the bike and saw and experienced it. That was Reggie Oliver. Yeah. That was our coach my freshman year, who, incredible human being. He's a fraternity brother. Yeah, okay. And really instilled a lot of characteristics in it. Then we had Ronnie Brown, who is, Eastmoor alum himself. Yeah. Went on to do great things, and he coached us for 2 years. And then we had, who's there currently, Jimmy Miranda. Yeah. And that was my coach my senior year. So my football memories they're expansive because if you can imagine, it was a journey during those 4-year processes. Certainly. But I'll admit it on the microphone. I was close to leaving Eastmoor. And I love to tell this story because it makes Coach Miranda uneasy. Yeah. He was coming from Northland at the time. They were 0-10. They were coming to Eastmoor, and I remember being like, "There's no way that I'm about to be on an 0-10, have an 0-10 season." And we had a very good conversation. That was the first time I had like a man talk to me like a man and have a sit down one-on-one and really address me as a leader. Yeah. And I just knew it was something special about it. And fast forward, he was able to do some great things. So my memories are all over the place. Like we can talk about my freshman year when I got introduced to high school. Yeah.
Where'd you play youth football at in Central?
I played for the Eastland Vikings.
Oh, you're a Vikings guy.
Eastland Vikings.
I played for the Vikings, man. Beach to the East, man.
There we go.
Yeah. So you grew up over there. I mean, I grew up, but you played over there, Far East backyard.
Yeah. Grew up over there. Played over there.
Running the big tree.
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, sir. I try to tell my son. My son is growing up. We're in Gahanna now, and I'm like. Those laps, all that things, all my memories from childhood football. Yeah. Like I love them, I cherish them. So I'm hoping that he picks up the same tree.
The Eastland Vikings did a good job, man, of raising a lot of us young people over there. And that patch of grass, there's probably about 6 or 7 just big fields over there, and they just look, man, carve out some space and let's just run some plays, right? When you said that, it gave me a little joke, man. I played for Coach West, Coach Hill, Coach Ford, those guys. Coach Hill. I probably did 7 years with the Vikings as a kid. We got some buddies and some friends. We had a season one year. We went undefeated, unscored on the whole season. Love it. We was out there rolling. So that's a good memory. I'm glad. I used to do this with my wife. It used to drive her crazy when we would ride down Livingston. Yep. And every time we would ride by, if practice was going on, I would be honking the horn, yelling out the window, man. And my wife would say, "Them kids can't even hear you down there." I said, "That's okay. They can hear me in spirit."
In spirit, yes, absolutely. It's always great running into former Vikings because we share that common bond. Like you can see how people light up when they talk about it. So amazing history and heritage for a program.
Certainly. So you go to Eastmoor. Give me you take the moment though. Grab one of your Eastmoor moments and tell me one that stands out to you. Tell me why. Tell the listeners why. Like what I'm talking about a game. I'm not talking about just I'm just talking about a game, man. Give me one of those game moments.
East High School. This is crazy because I actually got a little group chat with Chris Beanie Wells and a couple of our teammates.
Yeah.
And we were watching a high school football game that ended similar to how I had a ending with East High School. So there's two memories that are like crazy from my senior year. One, we beat East High School. They had the ball at that inch-yard line, literally going in, and fumbled the ball. And we took it back 99 yards to score to win the game 6-0.
Wow!
And like, because I was at the bottom of the pile. It was a cornerback, Troy Lopes, who ended up taking the return back.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there, just not getting up and just watching him sprint down the field, which was incredible. And then we also had a game winner.
So that was a good game, though.
Oh yeah,
6-0 win. That means y'all was about there.
That's when, and again, it was a big thing.
Is this
to beat
your senior year?
Yeah. So it was a big thing to beat East. You know, they playing at that field first and foremost. There was, you know. The only field that's detached from the high school, has a heritage and history to it. There's a lot of stigma and things about it. So it used to be a big thing to play there back when we were in high school. So for that game to end the way that it did, it was a defensive battle. It was hardly contested, as you can tell. But that was literally the game-winning play where they thought they were going in. And then I have a similar, we played Centerburg. Okay. And it's crazy because the head coach is at Hartley now. So every time that we would scrimmage them as I coached, we would talk about it. But we ran a screen pass my senior year, and I caught it and housed it, you know, and it was on the news, so I still got the clip. All my kids are like, that's old, and you know, don't want to watch it anymore. But was able to house that in the fourth quarter. So it was kind of crazy because the news clip, it pans into their stands, and you just see all these sad faces. And this is like before, you know, the memes and things that happen now that you see after college games. So that's my memory for it. So it was definitely amazing.
Oh wow! I mean, you know. Number one, it's great to have cool high school memories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because and I share with young people. You're a parent. You mentioned that, and we'll get to your family a little bit. But we have parents that listen. We have obviously kids and coaches that listen to the show. And I share with young people. I keep saying it over and over and over again. Get involved, right? Yeah. When you're involved at school, your experience is different. When you become an adult, whether you're a young man, young woman, and you're sitting someplace, it's nice to have those memories to look back on. Whether your team wins every game or loses every game, right? You still have these moments that kind of connect you to the space differently than if you were just a student there who didn't get involved, right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
At Eastmoor, not only were you playing football, and we're going to keep the football theme throughout the entire show, right? Like I said, from football to footwear today. But you also did some other stuff. I read in my production notes and profile, man. You were a wrestler. Yeah. You got down your junior year. So come on, tell me a little bit about being a multi-sport kid.
Wrestling ended up that's my baby. Like like literally how I got into wrestling is a funny story. I was coached by Michael Flushy, who's currently the varsity head coach at Gahanna. Yeah. And I was on my way to basketball tryouts. You know, just like you're supposed to think any black kid that play football, play baseball, play basketball. Right. I was on my way to basketball tryouts. He stopped me in front of the gym. He was like, "Son, where you going?" I was like, "Basketball." He was like, "What position you play?" I like, "Probably the 4 to 5." He was like, "Son, you 5'10", 5'11". Your future in basketball is not going to go that far. You know, let me get you stronger for football. Come and wrestle. And at the time, I'm like, man, I'm not wearing that outfit. You know, I didn't know it was a singlet at the time.
That gets a lot of people right.
And he's like, put on some shorts and a t-shirts. I just want to get you stronger. And I trusted him. Something about it trusted. Yeah. We had our first dual match at West High School. And I won 2 matches and never looked back. Like it was.
What year is this for you?
This is my freshman year. This is my freshman year. Okay. Yeah, my freshman year. He got a group of us that never wrestled before and transitioned to where we were. You know, Marion Franklin at the time was a powerhouse. Like it was very hard to dethrone them as the city champions, but we were there. You know what I'm saying? Like we were second place 2-3 years in a row, and knocking at that doorstep.
You might be one of the last groups that wrestled at Eastmoor. They haven't.
Man, that's unfortunate. Yeah, they haven't had it for a while. But I've talked to Butchie about it a couple of times. But yeah, I really wish that could be revamped in some way, shape, or form because it taught me a lot about myself. Like there's nothing like one-on-one sports. You know, track, wrestling. You know, anything
wrestling is even, and we'll keep on going, but wrestling I think is different.
Yes.
Than even the tracks and some of the other stuff, because like you said, there's something different about that one-on-one. It's you can't blame anybody. You got to get out there. It's a gut check moment for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I loved it. So that's my baby. I light up when we talk about it because it's very unique, and it was a culture changing experience for me. Yeah, so it taught me a lot.
When I came into this role, my experiences with wrestling had always been at a far. Yeah. I would go to stuff, and you'd have the Red Devil stuff, and like you said, Marion Franklin was doing things, and I would go and watch, but never in tune enough to try to even understand. I was going to watch maybe a family member or a friend's family member. So I'm checking in, I'm watching the one bout, and I probably was leaving, right? Yeah. And then as I got into this position and started to understand it better, I'm going, oh wow. Yeah. Wrestlers are different. Like that's you got to have a different cut about you to get out there and do that, right? Yeah. And be able to put yourself and say, I'm going to give what I got out here today, and it's all me, right? Yeah. Coach can't save you,
nope,
right? There ain't no timeouts in there, right? Like you can't. It's nothing that's going on during that bout. And so your junior year, you won cities.
Yeah, both sophomore and junior. So sophomore.
Oh, back to back, won cities.
We won a lot. I won a lot of matches. It was incredible. Journey was amazing. Like district matches, all that different section matches.
Do you follow wrestling still to any degree?
Absolutely. So we're. I actually still my two youngest boys are wrestling, and I get a chance to watch it from a parent standpoint. I help out from time to time. Okay. I would go to Ohio State matches and things like that. Once you understand it and know what you're looking for, you can enjoy it a whole lot more. Right. I tell people that all the time. Like, my mom would sit in the stands. She's like, afterwards, she's like, it just looked like you got hurt. Are you all right? And it's like, nah. Well, when you know what you're looking for, you can understand the art in it. Certainly. The art and the movement. So it's still enjoyable to watch.
What kind of sports parent are you? Since you said you go to your kids' match, what kind are you loud, or are you sitting back?
I sit back. I sit back and respect. I think it's because of my time as a coach. I can understand and appreciate the parents who enjoy and watch it and don't have these lofty expectations of Super Bowls for their kids. Right. But not like I'm a very. If my children, whether it be my daughters with softball or my sons with whatever it is that we're doing, if they want me to be involved, I'm going to give all the advice in the world. If they don't want me to, I will just be a father and enjoy it. So, I'm trying to learn the balance between the two. But I'm not a coach. You gotta that's not me.
Well, and you know what? And I share this as parents who are listening. There's a space for both parents.
Yes.
There's a space for the parent that likes to be reserved a little bit and sits back, and there's also a space for parents who want to be vocal and cheer. But you got to be mindful of what you're saying.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All that, like you said, this beating and browbeating the officials and the coaches, that's not being supportive, right? We got those parents. So you can be loud and you can cheer and you can say, that's my baby. And you can do all the things that sound like support. But when you start to get over into that other space, then what you do is you ugly up the event.
Yes.
I try to help parents that I know. I say, hey, look, you're not helping your kid. They're actually embarrassed right now. Yeah. They're sitting there saying to themselves, they really wish you would be quiet, to be very honest with you. And they won't say that to you as mom or dad, but they certainly wish you would be quiet if you're not just cheering on the team, right? So you got kids, but now let's go back to senior year, new coach, playing football, and now you got some choices to make. Oh yeah, because in football you obviously you found some success. How do you go through the process of deciding where you was going to go play some college football at?
Yeah, so that was I think it became a no-brainer once the Ohio State offer came. Okay, but I don't even want to paint that picture as if that was just this fairy tale journey. My first offer was from Bowling Green. I would say that what put me on the page was my 40 time. Like I started going to camps. I trained hard, like I said, through wrestling, through training, through between my sophomore and junior year, I really hit this growth spurt to where I wasn't the slowest kid anymore. I couldn't really run. End up running on our 4x1, at Eastmoor as well. So
your senior year, you did track also?
Yeah, I ran track my junior year.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, so when I went to Bowling Green, that was the first time I ran like a 4.6 or something like that in the 40.
Got a lot of people's attention.
Got a lot of people's attention. You know, as a linebacker, fullback. You know, at that time. Well, no, I'm sorry. At the time, I was playing center and linebacker.
Okay.
Got a lot of people's attention. Skill drills, did all that stuff really well. And I would say, especially for young people that are listening, like go to camps, you know, go to camps and get yourself seen and known. Like I know right now we're in the digital age where we think we can send everybody something, but it's always a benefit to go and be seen in person. So I go do the same thing.
Said that real quick?
Who?
Malcolm Jenkins.
Absolutely.
Malcolm said that.
Absolutely.
When Malcolm, we had Malcolm at Eastmoor a year or so ago.
Yep.
He shared those same sentiments because
That's
he came in from Philly, Jersey area. They came in. They was spending the summer. And he went to a camp at Ohio State.
He just did a podcast with Tress where he was talking about how, you know, the only reason he came to Columbus was to visit his aunt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He was
he shared that story with.
And he went to the camp and then turned everybody's heads to where they were like, wait, who's this kid that we never heard of from New Jersey?
Right.
And look, now we're talking about a 2-time Super Bowl champion, Thorpe winner, you know, at Ohio State. Like it's an incredible journey, but you have to get out of your own way sometimes to make sure that you take the proper steps. But that was what happened for me. So while I was on the camp circuit, which is really wild, because I give credit to Coach Ginn up in Cleveland. Okay. While I was on the camp circuit, I actually turned his head, you know, to where he's like, oh, well, come with us. Because they had a formula. They were, if you saw Glenville back then, they would pull up in all black sweats. They would run the 40, do a couple drills, and then they'll take off. And they'll do like 2 or 3 camps in a day. Yeah. It was me, Eric Hall, Sergio Welch, and a couple of us that he was guys. Like, And he was like, he gave us the formula and the recipe and like, all right, well, if you want to hit a couple with us as well. So after that, it was like, with the Pitt, got an offer, you know, West Virginia, you know, same type of deal. And even though these were D1 offers, I was thinking I was going to end up at Minnesota. Like my mentor, so to say, or big homie, whatever we want to call him, was Justin Valentine. With the Minnesota the year prior. And Eastmoor had a couple guys that went to Minnesota. Ronnie Brown played at Minnesota. Yeah. Columbus had some guys. It was like we was looking up at one moment. Minnesota had like all of a tunnel underground. It was just grabbing guys from Central Ohio. So that was my thing, was like, I'm going to go get me an offer from Minnesota. And I went to the Ohio State camp, and I'll never forget, I ran a 4.5 twice. Wow. 4.58 and a 4.5, like 7 or something like that. And immediately, Tim Spencer came over to me. He was like, son, you know, talk to me about life, talk to me about football. He's like, you know, you playing linebacker, you're probably not going to get recruited as a linebacker here. You know, you might not fit the height, you know, or whatever. He was like, ask your coach, can you play fullback? Yeah. If you could switch from center to fullback, like, I have an offer for you. Wow. And that's the conversation that I went to go have with Coach Miranda, and we talked about it. And again, I played center because it was what I was supposed to do. Like, it was a piece that was needed for the team. Right. And I was a team guy. Like, as long as I got to play linebacker, I got that offer, and the rest was sort of history. I remember when I got the offer is when Luke Fickell came to see me play against Independence. Okay. And balled out. We lost, unfortunately, but balled out. And then that night I got a call and said, you know, you got an offer to the Ohio State University. And the rest of recruiting was over at that point.
Yeah. And Luke has been, over the years, he's been good to Central Ohio. Oh yeah, been good to city kids. I mean, like, you know, he's had guys where he's found them guys and said, "Come on, man, let's go get it."
Yeah, you know, he's a DeSales guy. So So he has an affinity to Central Ohio and what we're doing here. He knows the special talent that comes out of here.
Yeah, but even City League specifically, I'm saying like Luke has brought some guys. You know, he brought a guy, some kids from Walnut Ridge down to UC when he was there. Yep. And, You looked up and you go, "Hey, man, how?" You know, and so there's a lot of journey and connection with Luke, right? So I share that. So you get the Ohio State offer. Now, you mentioned earlier, as we were talking, you said, well, currently right now your dad lives in lives up in Detroit. Yeah. Is your dad a Michigan guy? Is he from Michigan?
He's from Michigan. He's from Detroit, Michigan. My whole side of the family. Like, him becoming a Buckeye, I remember he talked about it. He was considered the Benedict Arnold when he was growing up. But yeah, he's a Detroit guy, born and raised, still loves it. He's there all the time.
Loves it, D, right?
Yeah.
I have some in-laws in Detroit.
Nice.
My nephew was born in Detroit. Who, you know, he's in school now in Virginia, but he was born in Detroit, so he's all in Michigan, obviously, right?
Of course.
And my daughter right now goes to Michigan.
Okay.
She's up in Ann Arbor, right? But she's a Buckeye baby, right?
Yeah.
And so it's funny because when she was in high school, she was doing classes at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So she's got a Buckeye ID card and a Michigan ID card, like one of the few people that probably has these. And so she's up there running around up in Ann Arbor. But here, I think Buckeye fans would like to hear this. I was shocked. We've been to Ann Arbor more times than we can imagine now as a family. Obviously, when your child is there, right?
Yeah.
In and around Ann Arbor, there's Buckeye trees everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that, right? Like we went in the fall and I'm going, look at all these Buckeye trees all over the city of Ann Arbor, which I think is ironic and funny to just speak to the rivalry and the energy of it. Right now, I say that we look up at, the city of Ann Arbor be taking all the trees down here.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be good to know that we had something to do with that.
Yeah. So you get the offer. You come from a football family. Football's been around your life as a kid growing up. Your dad played for OSU. What did that mean to you?
Well, my parents met there. So, that connection was if you look at baby pictures, I've had Ohio State gear on since I came out of the womb.
Wow.
So, I think that portion of it still fell second to what it meant as a guy that grew up in Columbus, Ohio, a kid that grew up in Columbus, Ohio. So, if you talk about Ohio State football during the 90s, those are my heroes. And more so, I don't think people outside that grow up in sports cities understand the impact that Ohio State football has on Columbus, Ohio.
Man.
So you talk about your greats of the 90s. Now, granted, there's plenty of terrible finishing memories, but our heroes were there and they were doing some amazing things. Like I was a big Michael Wiley fan, big Michael Wiley fan. Yeah. So to be able to say that I'll be in a running back room where at one point in time Michael Wiley sat and took the same coaching, that's why I said it became a no-brainer. So yes, I have my parental side, but also I remember watching each and every one of those games and what it meant to the city and what it was like for a kid that grew up playing ball in city league. To say that this is the ultimate goal is to get to play right in your backyard for the people that love you. So it's funny you mentioned the 90s, right? So I'm a 90s high school guy, and I remember we had Anthony Gwynn on the show a little while ago, right? Yeah. And some of those, at one point, Brookhaven just was sending guys to Ohio State. It was like it was like just a part of me just went for you. It was like all one big program almost. You looked up and another name, right? And so you had Terry and them guys, and I'm the same age as Terry and those guys, right? We're all the same age. I remember seeing it a little bit. Year or two, but we're in high school during the same run, and. I was, like I said, man, I'm just rooting for us, right? Find your way, go out there, attack the world, see what you got. And so to see that kind of that journey, it always has been special when you see a guy like yourself. Then we fast forward, we see a guy like Malik Harrison who came out of Walnut Ridge a couple of years ago. You are having that opportunity. I don't know that Ohio State really, I know it's almost like they've become so big. Where like their recruiting is so national. And sometimes I think they overlook maybe some kids here in Central Ohio that could be great contributors to the program, right? Well, you see how it often bites you in the butt, though, because what happens is, the kids are still growing up here, diehard Buckeye fans. That's right. And you do one or two things. Either you're going to recruit them and they're going to play with that passion for your university, or you're not, and then you're going to play against them. Yeah. And it's going to mess around and come back to haunt you because that's the kid that's going to end up playing the hardest. Right. And unfortunately, knock you off from time to time. Yeah. So, I think it's unfortunate. So one thing that I did learn in my time is I would challenge it. But I think people have the wrong perception of people staying in their backyard and staying in trouble because we have examples of it not being true. Malik is an example. I'm an example. We have all kinds of people that walked from our backyard through that program and came out, and done successful things on and off the field. So, that's always my 100% pushback because it's that stigma that if you stay where you're from, the same things that you had to avoid in high school, you would have to avoid in college. It's like, no, Ohio State is a whole different city.
Different place.
Different place. Yeah, you can live there or not.
You can grow up in Columbus and then make it onto campus, and it's a whole different world. And you meeting so many different people. Obviously, in colleges all over the planet, right? But a big place like Ohio State, you're meeting people literally from all over the world.
All over, literally.
Yeah, because people are coming to Ohio State from Europe and Africa and all these different countries, right? And so every day you look up, you could be talking to someone who has an experience completely different than the one you were walking and dealing with being here in Central Ohio. Who'd you play for at Ohio State?
Jim Tressel.
You played for Tress, okay.
Yeah,
so Tress was the Tress was famous for a lot of good quotes.
Yeah,
right? I think that might have been one of it. Like somebody should do a book on Tressel quotes. Right? he would rattle off and say a lot of good stuff. You know, even I think as a Central Ohio person, everybody remembers what he said about the Michigan game 100%. And the countdown, and that got us all going.
Changed the trajectory for Ohio State for sure.
Well, because he got it right, like how passionate it is here for this community and everyone to understand and say, someone say, "Oh, he gets it."
But to that same point, you have a guy that's an Ohio guy who understands, and that's the same thing that I'm trying to say about, you know, a Columbus guy, you know, being an advocate for Ohio State. Like you have kids coming from all over the planet, and don't get it twisted. Like we recruit the best talent for a reason. But to say that a guy from this part of Texas is going to understand the culture that's been ingrained over generations, you'll be doing yourself a disservice. So, you know, that same, he understood the rivalry long before he even took that job in that position. Same with Urban Meyer. And you see those kind of people make impacts that last a legacy, because a lifetime, just simply because they get it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So you played for Ohio State, played for Coach Tress, and certainly a great experience. But I know we could spend almost a whole segment of the show, right, just talking to you about Ohio State. And but I want to give our listeners almost like a complete vision of your journey. I don't want to overlook Ohio State football, because I know you had a great run. You had some opportunities in the NFL, and you're this amazing athlete, right? Like I didn't even know you ran track. So I'm upset with myself because I missed that in my production note. That like tells me how bad of a dude you are.
I'm there with Coach Lewis when he first started turning the sides for that program. Like I'm one of his first runners.
Come on, man! Like hearing that, like so when you said that, I like my brain even had to register. Like this dude just said he ran the 4x1. You know what I mean? Like so you're a super athlete then for a guy that can go from football to wrestling, and then you're out here running sprints and track. Because I think most people would probably have said, if I said to a person, "Hey, look, here's this guy. He was a football fullback, center linebacker. He was a wrestler, and he did track and field." And if I said, "What event did he do?" They would have said shot put. He's a shot putter.
That was terrible at shot put.
Yeah, they would have said he's a shot putter, right? Like 100%. It would have been. And then if I said, that dude ran sprints, it would blow people away, right?
Literally.
So you're a super athlete, and I don't want to, but you're also, man, now like you're this entrepreneur, small business guy, doing some phenomenal stuff. So let's kind of go down that journey for a moment. I said we were going to talk about football to footwear. And so let's dive into this footwear space. You're the owner of, and then I'll let you
Soul
take
Classics.
it.
Soul Classics, Sneaker Boutique. So to understand this entire journey, that's an integral part. So when you bring up NFL, like I'm unsigned free agent with the Cardinals, and like most stories, I got hurt. If I didn't get hurt, I would Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
So, like most, football didn't pan out. It didn't pan out quicker than I thought. And I was actually moving up the depth chart. I thought there was a future there. So I get put on a PUP at the time, and I'm like, all right, the promise was I'll be back for next camp. I come home to Columbus, Ohio, and this is when they make that run to the Super Bowl. So, that's the season that I was there that I kind of missed. So that was my year. Then Beanie comes into Arizona very, very next year. So my impression, my expectation was that fall I would be going back to camp because I was doing that well. I didn't get a call back. Football is such a unique sport that I tell people to appreciate every snap, because nobody knows when they're there's very few of us that can retire, when we're just literally tired. Most of us, it just stops. And you never know when that wall's coming. So I try to make sure people understand you being young, you don't, but understand to appreciate it a little bit more. So my clock stopped. I had to figure out what was next in a hurry, because there wasn't a I had to get a job, essentially.
Yeah.
So I remember, it's funny you brought up Tressel. I graduated degree business marketing for Fisher College of Business. So I'm thinking that I get Coach Tressel to write me a letter of recommendation. I'm going to be a CMO. I'm going to Nationwide. I'm going to get this C-suite executive position.
Yeah.
So I go and everybody, not qualified. And I go to lunch with a friend of mine, and he's like, they're selling Soul Classics. At the time, I shopped there when I was in college. I was very familiar with the store, and I go out and try to get loans. That's the next thing that a 22-year-old kid tries to do.
Yeah.
At the time, nothing was in my name other than the phone bill. So every bank is like rejected.
I've been paying a Sprint bill on time.
I've been paying a Sprint bill every year.
Right,
I have my mom's card, but I put it in her name. But that wouldn't have got me credit either.
Right.
So every bank rejected me. So I tell people this in every platform, every time I get a chance to have a microphone. Be a good person. Be good to people. Be a serious person, because I was able to get loans from people who did end up getting drafted from Ohio State.
Certainly.
And I put together a business plan. I worked on it hard. And because of the character that I had in college, because people knew that I meant what I said and I was going to finish what I said I was going to do, they trusted me with their money. And that was something that it means a lot more now than it did then.
Yeah, perspective.
It felt easy. Yeah. But people fall for bad ideas every day, and I was able to pay all those guys back. With their interest. It wasn't free money by no stretch of imagination.
Certainly.
So that's what got me
because they made an investment.
They made an investment.
Yeah.
They made an investment. They trust me with their money, and rightfully so. They should be paid for it.
Right.
So that's what landed me into retail. Like, I had a job in retail when I was in high school, but now I'm 23 years old. I own a store. I don't know what I'm doing left from right. Wow. Every day, my loan, the downside to then versus now, I took out enough to buy the store.
Right.
So that means on day one, I had to sell a shoe in order to be able to pay for another
operation,
shoe. So we figured it out day to day, and that was 14 years ago. That was 14 in 2010, and I've owned that. I have another business, is branding consulting. But we've been rocking and rolling ever since then. But the things that I learned through athletics, that's what put me in this position to where I am today. That not quitting attitude, the idea of finishing what you start.
Let me pause you.
Go for it. Right? You gonna get my
Hey, well, I say this because we did a show, and I've been sharing this more and more because there's a lot of information right now in the space of athletics and with this current group of youth, and the key word that keeps coming up is resiliency. So every time I get a mic in a group of people, especially coaches and parents, I keep bringing up resiliency.
Yeah.
We have we have taught young people to not be resilient. They give up so easy. At the first moment of adversity, the first moment of challenge, they say, "Oh, this ain't for me. I'm done." Right? And they quit. You and I, it's interesting to hear you say that, but we grew up at a time where you finished what you started.
Yeah.
And I have to say that with a precursor, right? Because now you can kind of people pick your words apart. Yeah. I'm certainly not saying for any kid to stay in an unsafe or unhealthy situation.
Talk to him.
But you sitting on the bench is not a reason to quit. You losing your starting position is not a reason to quit. Yeah. The coach yelling at you one time is not a reason to quit. The coach might be yelling at you because they're trying to pull something out of you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so kids have lost this resiliency. They quit so easy, and we have to find ways now as the adults, right? So this is a challenge to all of us, whether you're a parent, you a coach, you a teacher, we have to find ways to help these young people when that adversity moment happens.
Yes.
Let's help them be resilient and work through it.
Yep.
Not give them the plan that not the off ramp. You don't got to exit right here. Mm-hmm. If you're on 70 West and you're going to California, don't get off in Missouri. Stay on 70 West until you get to California. You're not going to get there without staying on 70 West. You got to stay on 70 West until you get to California.
And that's without cutting you off. So going back to what you said earlier about what type of parent was I, and I wanted to touch on this point.
Yeah, come on.
I believe that when we as parents, we're yelling at referees and we're screaming they're cheating. The coach doesn't know what he's doing. You're instilling something in you. You're just planting a seed in your kid that it's a very slippery slope, because you start to carve out this idea of making excuses. And we understand that a referee can't get it right all the time. We understand that that referee might not like you or your program, or he might cheat.
That's right.
But those are the same things that go on in life.
That's right.
I can't say that it's been easy to get secure financing as a black man and who doesn't have a background of business.
Yeah.
Those are challenges. That's a referee that could get in your way. And either you're going to let that referee or that idea.
I like that analogy right there.
It's 100% true.
Ooh,
because the same things that you have to fight on the field or on the court are the same things you're going to have to fight as an adult in real life.
The referees of life. Me and you are on to something. We're going to write a book together.
Yes, sir.
The referees of life. You said that just now, and that gave me I'm being serious. That just now gave me the shivers the way you put that. So poetic, because there are referees of life.
Because what are you going to say as an adult? That person cheated. That person kept me from getting where I wanted to get to. Like, no, you have to
supervisor, a boss. It could be a lot of things. Like you said, you spoke about family. And I know we could be all over the place, man. We're having such a good time. But let's tell everybody about your kids and your family. You got. I heard you mention 4 kids, and then when you say something, I'm gonna say something because we talked about it a little bit. In pre-show.
That's my world is my family. I grew up an only child for the majority of my life. I was in my 20s when my little sister was a blessing and brought here.
Yeah.
So she could have been my daughter, so to say. But I have 4 kids. I have a 10-year-old son, Dionte Jr.
Let's get it.
I have twin girls, Aaron and Amari, and then I have a 5-year-old son, Jameer. So
beautiful.
So they are. As a parent, one of the things that you notice off the bat is a reflection of yourself. Yeah. You hold your child, and they're a mirror, and they're going to show you the beauties and the ugliness of who you are, and that's the joy that I find in everyday life. And I have 4. You would think being raised in the same household would make you have similar paths or something to say, but they're 4 very unique, very different individuals. Certainly. So you have to learn and adjust on the fly every day, and I love it. Like anybody that knows me knows how I feel about my kids and what they mean to me. So we're taking that journey, but that's the centerpiece of everything that we have going on is making sure they're good.
When they're that age and you got children who are close in age, you're just kind of like a taxi cab driver. You know what I mean? You're just going from one thing to the next. You just coordinate. It's like, look, come on, man, and I can only imagine, because when my kids were that age and they were younger, I just kept all the stuff in my trunk. Anything you could ever need, right? Like, I got an extra pair of shoes or whatever. I got your bag for this out, for this activity and on down the line. My wife's a twin.
Okay.
And so you got twin daughters. You said something else about family, which I thought was pretty cool as we were speaking here today. You said your parents met at OSU.
Yeah, absolutely.
You met your wife at OSU.
Met my wife at OSU. Yeah. To continue on that theme, I don't think it was planned or projected. That wasn't the goal. Is like, I'm gonna go to college, meet my wife, and keep it moving. But you find yourself attaching to things that I thank God that He led me to where He led me, because although I went there with the intent of playing a long, illustrious professional career,
certainly,
I didn't know that I was gathering all the things that I needed, in that time frame that have helped me become the man that I am. And again, so we do a lot of nonprofit work, and the focus is career exploration. Yeah, and I'm like, if I could do that 100% of my time, I would, because I'm a firm believer that, one, we don't know what we don't know, and when you have young people, especially the stigma that we get in the inner city, you have a lot of people who don't have hope because they don't know what to aspire to be. And if you don't introduce people to different career paths, I say it all the time, we get told that we could be a teacher, doctor, lawyer, firemen, all in kindergarten, and that thing never expands. Right. You don't know that you could be a sales director at Vans. You don't know that being into art doesn't mean you have to be a painter. It could mean that you could be a graphic designer and those things. So I have a passion and purpose to kind of introduce students to those things, because once you're attaching to something, now you do everything in your power not to knock yourself off that path. Yeah. And you realize that you have so many more options and opportunities. And that's my story is, I come from a football background. I was supposed to play 14 years in the NFL, how I grew up. Right. But the career that I'm having and the run that I'm having is unmatched by anything. I'm in my purpose. Yeah. So I try to tell people that all the time. Like, take the lessons that sports teach you, but don't let anybody put any additional pressure. You put that pressure on yourself to be all the great things that you could become, but learn and be a good person along the way, and you never know where that journey will take you.
Wow, man! So much here today. Yeah, they're giving me the cue that we got to. I think we even.
You said it was going to go fast.
It goes fast, man. We actually have went over. We're going. You've said so many profound things. People, if you don't know in Central Ohio, man, you got to get this guy in your room with you, man, and just have a conversation. I knew you were a special guy, man.
Appreciate that.
I've been hearing things about you, obviously, in and around the city. Let me ask you the question. So, when I was a kid growing up, we gonna do tongue in cheek for a moment.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever heard anybody say the term sneaker.
No,
I was a kid. We was all tennis shoes, right?
Tennis shoes. That's how I grew up too.
Okay, but now it's all sneaker, isn't it?
All sneaker.
The term is sneaker.
Yeah, I had to correct I ain't gonna say correct myself. I'm a tennis shoe baby. That's how I grew up until I realized that tennis shoe was it's just like one of those things that I never really put into two and two together, that it's a version of a sneaker, or it's a version of a shoe, so to say, that's specific for tennis. So I had to grow and adapt to it. But I'm a Columbus baby, so I said tennis shoes all my life.
Okay, I got you. And but now, man, like when you talk to kids in their mind, like tennis shoe for us used to encompass all the shoes. Yeah. Whether you had on a pair of Nike Cortez or some Reeboks or whatever, that tennis shoe encompassed everything. Basketball shoes, all shoes. But now sneakers encompasses all shoes. Right?
Yeah. Sneakers, it marries the whole thing together. So, it's a wide range of them.
Tell everybody where they can find Soul Classics, man.
So Soul Classics, we're in the short north in Columbus, Ohio, less than a block south of 1st and High.
Okay.
Been there and going to be there for the next 20 years or so. I also, like I said, co-own Canvas Consulting, which is a branding consulting firm. You can find us on social media at With Canvas. Okay. And then at Soul Classics is at Soul Classics on every platform, and it's SOLE, like a shoe sole.
Yeah, like a shoe sole. Good stuff. Hey, look, people, what a great show. We said we were going to talk everything from football to footwear, but we threw in family, and I think those things really encompass the man that you are, the guy that you are. Here you are, like you said, man. You got 4 children in your life, your family. You got a father up in that other state up there, up north, as we like to say here in Columbus, right? And you got another family piece there. And footwear has taken you on this journey of life, and here you are, and you're a business owner. Well accomplished. And we certainly are great to have you here as a guest today, man. You know what I mean? You're the stories and the people we want to let everybody know about, man. You're one of us. We're a part of you and part of your journey. What do you want to say as we start to wrap up and get out of here, man? Anything I missed? Anybody listening to this from the hallways of any Central Ohio, any Columbus City school, just know that once upon a time we were in those same hallways. You know, the people that you're listening to on this microphone, especially from the Legacy Pocket, we were in those same hallways. So, if you want to be anything, you could be whatever it is that you want to be. You just have to have a mentality that you're going to go out and get it. And if you have that mentality, we have tremendous examples of people who have done exactly that. So, I want to be the catalyst, the tipping point for students who don't know that they can go on and do great things. Certainly. Hey, look, folks, that's all we have today. What an amazing guest you've been, man. Certainly appreciate you carving out some of your time to join us here. Let our listeners get a chance to learn a little bit more about you and hear some things that maybe they wouldn't hear in another platform, because, I would be guessing that most of the discussions you have don't bring in too much of your Eastmoor background, right? A lot of OSU, probably a lot of entrepreneurial business stuff. So thank you, man. Look, everybody catch future episodes on radio WCBE 90.5 FM. Also, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple, the platforms where you find your favorite podcast. For all of my Instagram, IG folks out there, we are at City League Sports 614. This is a legacy legend guy right here, man. We got the one and only Dionte Johnson, Eastmoor Academy in the house. I'm your host, Dr. Vince Clarino, City League Sports. Appreciate it.